All right. Welcome, everybody, to the September meeting of the NCOD. Hopefully, everybody got the agenda, and I am very excited to welcome Ellen Spirinsky. Ellen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. So why don't we start with a little introduction, if you don't mind?
Sure.
And then we can get into the topics.
Do you want me to start with my, okay, everyone else knows each other, so.
Well, but we will introduce ourselves to you as well.
Yeah. Okay. Would you like to start? Would you like me to start?
Sure. So I can start. So I'm Carol Thomas. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Needham Commission on Disability. And I'll turn it over to Jeannie.
I'm Jeannie Martin. I'm Carol's co-chair.
It's the other way around, really, but yeah.
No. We're in equal partnership.
Yep.
I'll go. Hi, welcome to the group. My name is Babs Moss, and I'm a member of the commission. Welcome.
I'm Alexa Moore, also a member and I guess secretary. And I'm probably the newest member of the folks on this call. Nice to meet you.
And I'm Tatiana Swanson. I'm the town liaison. Nice to meet you, Ellen.
Nice to meet you. And thank you all for having me. As you can see, I'm Ellen Spirinsky, and just a very quick overview. I live in Needham, obviously. We've been here about 5 years, and I have my husband and I live here. We have 3 kids. One's now junior in high school, one's in college. And the one that brings me here today is my oldest, who's 22 years old. And as part of, he was involved in, he has autism, he's autistic, and he has anxiety and intellectual disabilities. So as part of his profile, he was part of the Needham Public Schools until age 22, at which point he aged out. And now he's under the adult agencies, which you may imagine with the budgets and everything is quite a challenge. But when he aged out, he is working at an elementary school now in town. And one thing that happens when they're less than 22 is transportation is something that is provided as part of the program. But when students such as my son, or a young adult such as my son, who can be productive members of society and can hold jobs, maybe will not drive when they turn 22, that transportation goes away. And so it kind of got me thinking, and why I reached out to the Commission on Disabilities, and how I had a nice conversation, which I think it was with Jean initially, I believe, is that I had was trying to brainstorm ways in which transportation could be provided to someone with disabilities. And maybe it's not the traditional disabilities. You may think of someone needing wheelchair transport, but someone who is working and doesn't have a way to get there. And I came across the town of Sudbury happens to have a model that I thought was kind of interesting. And that's what I sort of was trying to reach out to Needham to see if that's something that had been considered, something that could be considered. Who would I reach out to? And that's where I started with the Commission on Disabilities. And that's the reason why I'm here today. So, I don't know if you want me to just give a very brief overview. I think on the agenda saying I have a transportation proposal was a little bit strong, but I have sort of this idea, and if maybe people can give me a sense of where I can go with this idea. But basically right now what Needham, I believe, has is, in talking with the senior center, they provide, through the senior center, they might provide transportation to grocery stores or medical appointments, and you book it 24 hours in advance, and that's kind of what works now. Was Officer Kelly. I sent her a separate email about different things. She might recognize my name. Needham's such a great town, by the way, with the resources. And so what I was focusing on now would be maybe this segment of this population, whether it be around, 22 or above 22, who has disabilities, and they may need to go to work or go to things around town. So in looking at the Sudbury proposal, which I can email, or I sent to Tatiana to screen share.
Yeah, do you want it? I have it and I can screen share it, or you can pull it up, because I gave you the option to share yourself too.
I'm afraid, oops, that's my alarm. I don't want to take too long figuring out how to screen share.
Okay, no problem.
Actually, I think I can do it right now. Let's see.
Yeah, I can do it too. I have it on.
Okay. Okay. So there's one that has the PDF that might be the best. Actually,
is this it?
Yeah, we'll look now. So just really briefly, Sudbury has 4 different things. One option that you may have heard of, which would be the purple one equivalent to us, is the ride. And it may sound like, oh, this is great. Everyone can just call up the ride and use it. But the ride, although wonderful, is notoriously sort of not always reliable. You may not know who's going to show up. They might, for one 20-minute ride, they needed an hour and 15 minutes, that sort of thing. I've actually been lucky though, because we have been using the ride and Ubers show up for the same cost. Mm-hmm. But that may help us, maybe that doesn't help all the population that you may want to help in Needham. So the part that I want to focus on that's unique to Sudbury that I'm proposing to think about for Needham is the green part. And what the green part does is it allows you, if you kind of the 4th box down, first of all, it's for people with the 5th box down, it's 60 years and older. This is in Sudbury, but 18 years with a disability that limits driving, maybe an essential worker that needs a ride. But what the purpose of what it's for that's maybe different than we've seen is for non-urgent healthcare appointments, work, or shopping, or getting to community resources. So the one that I'm honing in on might be work. So this could benefit people, more than just, someone like my son in the community, but maybe other people. And so I think the next page doesn't really have that much more information, but there's a lot of how, how do you qualify and that sort of thing, and when is it available and that sort of thing. But that is sort of my high level overview of what I found another town using to, and also wanting to highlight this need for maybe helping members of the, residents of the town of Needham get to work when they may be able to work and be productive members of society, but simply cannot drive for whatever reason.
So it says Go Sudbury Uber. So how is this different? So how does this work? Is it different from an Uber?
So I believe how it works in Sudbury is that, and again, every town could propose something different, is there's probably a grant or some money that went to it. So it's $3 within Sudbury, $5 for a 5 to 10 mile trip. And then, so there's some funding for it. I think another thing that could be really important is, and Sudbury may not do this, but I really think it would be beneficial for, like, my son is independent with Uber. He can kind of figure out who's picking him up and check the license plate. Not everybody is that way, but yet a person could still be a productive member of a society work. But maybe having Uber drivers or even taxi drivers who do this, who are known to the community and could be known to the people who are riding using the transportation to give that sense of comfort to the person. So that is how it's different. There's a degree of subsidy involved in it because, for example, like a 5-minute Uber ride, and I guess if you're supposed to tip, could be well over $10 or even more and can add up. So I think that's the difference, but great question.
Okay.
There is a program that they started in the Bay Area where it's like accessible Ubers, not like wheelchair specific, but trained to deal with people with differences. And they're almost a different price point, but they've also gone through like sensibility training for the blind or for mobility issues. It would be interesting to see if Boston's a metro market coming up with that, because maybe you could do a move with Uber to get them to do some semblance of a soft launch and then get some PR out of it, which could be interesting. I mean, that's a long shot, but still.
That is actually a great point. It sort of triggered my foggy memory about some things. And back when Zachary, my son, before COVID, I had talked to the director of special services at the high school to kind of talk about, because I think I had read about that and saying, this would be great if we could kind of coordinate with them. I do want to say, which I failed to mention, that the Ride does have this program called the Ride Flex. And what that can do is you get highly subsidized ride. So I think it is like $3. So you can get a ride up to $40 for $3, but you start with only 2 a month. So that might help with certain things.
I have a question. Are we talking about, like, who's providing these rides? Are these, is it Uber drivers?
So in this model, it is an Uber driver, but okay. I would say as I sort of identify this population and this ever-growing population that might have this need within the town of Needham, that perhaps it could be sort of teeing off that that sensitivity training that Uber drivers had, maybe having people who are sort of trained to deal with people with differences, whatever they may be, that are kind of serve the Needham area and that sort of thing. So yeah, right now I think they're using Uber, okay. But I think there's an opportunity to make sure that they're trained and familiar to people and that sort of.
So the town of Sudbury is subsidizing the cost of the ride. Is that how it's working?
I believe how it's worked. So basically, I'm reading my little blog here, the Sudbury Transportation Committee. So they had created a committee to identify this need that they needed to fill. Sudbury is even more car necessary than the Needham area. But so basically what they did is they, through 2023, they do have subsidies that go along with it. So, but I'm not even sure that because of the size of Needham, yes, subsidies could be an important part of it, but perhaps it's also more about, because Needham's not huge, and to get to one end versus another with transportation wouldn't be that expensive, but it's more about, is it having people that would be familiar to people that might be trained with the differences, that sort of thing. These are just sort of ideas I'm sort of throwing out there because I know subsidized things cost money. And if there isn't money, how can we get around that to still meet the needs of some people?
Right. And yeah, my mother happens to be a senior with mobility issues, and she's terrified to use Uber. She never would. But if there was something like this, you know, then she might feel comfortable enough to use it. So
right.
There could be a population.
If it's someone, and as a family member, we might feel comfortable knowing that we can actually connect with that person ahead of time to let them know how they could help.
Yeah.
So
you'd be surprised though, because I take regular Ubers all the time. And I even just did it like in Panama, like the country. And there has not been one Uber driver who refused to help me with a wheelchair. Never. Like, they're nicer than like the general population, I think, more often than not. Like, and so mom might do it with her.
I mean, all of you. You took Ubers in Panama? Like, that's amazing.
I mean, Panama's nicer than the US. They were nicer in Panama than they were in Logan. Like, the guys in Panama were like, you can't do anything. Like, I'll serve you completely. But, you know, anyway, I think if you tell people though, when they're coming, like what the need is, I've never had a problem.
And I think that with what happens with certain disabilities where it's more cognitive or it might be more communication, it might be harder for that person. Another thing I wanted to mention, which sort of got me thinking about this also, is under 22, when it's paid for by the school district, or probably money comes from the state, I'm not really sure about it, all the transportation to the different jobs or the transportation from home to school, all that stuff. The money that is, I have a finance background, so I'm always thinking that way, but the money that is spent on that is probably a lot more money that would necessarily be spent on if it was actually done this way. But, you know, I know funding comes from certain sources and maybe that can't be changed, but it would certainly help this population, and I think more population. I don't know if there's a solution, but I appreciate the opportunity and just mentioning it to the committee and seeing if someone could help maybe point me in the right direction of what next steps, or if you think, hey, we've tried this, not going to fly, or that kind of thing.
So Charles River, they provide transportation for their people to go to work from like the residences?
So the other interesting aspect of it, which is when I found this out, like my face hit like the table, is that for students who are in, I'm sorry, I call them a student still, adults who are in adult agencies, if there are multiple, there's independent employment, there's group supported employment, and then there's community-based day services or day hab. Yes. So day hab and community-based, which is at the program, transportation is provided and it's covered by Department of Developmental Services. Group supported employment, they'll provide transportation from your home to the thing. Because my son does individual employment, it's when I found out, I was like, that makes no sense to me, but it's supposed to be individual. So I should have said that in the beginning. That's for the segment of the population that is working, they're making money, they're paying their taxes, but they just don't drive, and they probably won't ever drive, but they're able to sort of, and then what happens is, and maybe this is a little selfish, but the family member, it's not selfish, but it's the fact of life, is the family members is suddenly, we have to drive him, but that's taking away his independence. It's impacting our ability to work and that sort of thing. And I think there's just an opportunity. So, but that's a great point about the Charles River Center. Yeah. And I asked I had volunteered at the community, Needham Community Council, and I had spoken to person there, and she said they pretty much do it for doctor's appointments as well. Yeah. I wonder if there's like a van there that's kind of not doing much when they're not doing the doctor's appointments, or maybe that's booked with doctor's appointments, but
at the community council, the drivers are individuals in their cars.
Okay.
I believe, right, Babs?
Yes, I think they're from either Lyft or Uber.
Oh, okay. So
the senior center has 2 vans, handicap accessible. I do know they're busy, but not very busy.
Okay.
It might be an avenue, but I do know they're having issues with keeping drivers, just part-time. They can't find anybody to work. Yeah. But they do have 2 very nice vans. They take seniors to and from, like Linden Street to the senior center or to grocery shopping. And so that might be something to check.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Maybe there's an opportunity to expand that where there's existing vehicles that are Needham, part of Needham, and just sort of slightly expand the population.
Yeah.
So that's something I would, is there a contact maybe I should reach out to there, or just call and?
I would try Aisha Kelly.
Actually, what I would offer is let me make the first contact.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I'm going to talk to the Director of Health and Human Services, as well as Aisha, who's the coordinator for transportation, and just see if this is something that can be. My understanding is, as they're already at capacity, but there's definitely a way to explore, or at least to inquire whether this can be expanded into that population for sure. So yeah, I will do that, and I'll report back.
Okay. Because that sounds like what Sudbury did, is they just sort of expanded it to 18 years old with disability that limits driving, and then expanded it to work, basically.
But my understanding is, and I'm sorry, I don't know where your son works, but my understanding is that service, does it only stay in Needham? Officer Kelly, do you know that?
I don't know where he works.
No.
You mean the senior center?
Yeah.
I do know they take day trips sometimes. Like they might want to go to West Roxbury and go to the Dollar Tree store. They do a couple out of town things, but I think it is strictly Needham.
Yeah, and my son happens to work in Needham, but yeah, and so I can understand wanting it to be within Needham, because it's sort of they're productive within Needham. I don't know if they'll always work in Needham, but and then maybe that's something that if it kind of works, and because the town, Needham, Newton, and Wellesley are close, maybe it's just a little extra money to go within. I don't know. But
I know it's a goal of many committees in Needham, and we even have participated in surveys about what the needs are for people with disabilities and who are aging. And the number one issue is, guess what?
Transportation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's on everybody's tongue in every committee, I bet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Including ours.
So I definitely I thank you all for welcoming me to your meeting and bouncing the ideas off of you. And if there's anything, you know, my goal is not to say, here's an idea, you guys fix it. I'm you know, certainly happy to do the legwork. And so Tatiana, if you want to reach out to me and anything I can do and anything based on, you know, that you think I can do to help the committee based on the perspective I bring for my son, you know, let me know. And I don't know, I might hop off the call because 3 out of 4 of us have COVID here. So I'm so I guess I'll make dinner for them. But
I hope you feel better. Oh,
well, I'm good for now. But yeah. So I don't know if anyone has any more questions for me or how it works at this point. Or
I don't. If you don't mind, do you where is Zachary working? If you want to.
Right now, he's at Sunita Williams.
He is. Okay, that's great. Great school.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know the hours?
I'm sorry.
Do you know the hours?
It's 10:30 to 1:30. So
1:30.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if that'll continue. I hope it does. I found out today. I don't know, but yeah, he started there. So yeah, and I drive him there, and he does take the Uber home. I don't know if Kelly, before you hopped on the call, it does. I use the ride, and they just happen to like every day send an Uber, so it's been amazing. And it costs $5.60. So that's actually, you know, it adds up, but it's better than, you know, it'd probably be about $12 or so $10 without
with a regular Uber, right?
Yeah, so it does add up, but it's something, and it allows me to kind of keep my job for now. So because I also work 5 minutes away. If I didn't work 5 minutes away, I don't know what I would do. And these are things that, like I said, I didn't realize the nuances of when a person can do individualized employment of how transportation's not provided. So it's kind of a little bit of a flaw, but that's for another day.
All right. Well, thank you, Ellen, so much for joining us. And so we'll get back in terms of next steps based on some of the things that we talked about. And you are welcome to join us at our October meeting. We'll keep you on the list. So.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And I thank you all for all you do, and have a good evening.
All right. You too. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. So let's see. So next up on the agenda, so we have got the co-chairperson's report, and I can start with an update on the Dale Wise Memorial donation. We did send a donation to the Northeast Sled Hockey League, which Dale started, as I think I mentioned in my emails, in 2005. So it was something that was very important to him. We were able to send a $250 donation in his memory. And so thank you to everybody that contributed. And they were able to send a letter to his family letting them know that we had made that donation in his memory. So I wanted to provide an update on that. And we are looking for one new member, as I think you know, and there's been some interest. And so there are some meeting dates that are sort of pre-scheduled with the town. So Jeannie and I are on standby for when somebody is interested to interview. Jeannie, I don't know if you want to say any more about that.
Well, I saw that Maureen was with us a few minutes ago. It looks like she has stopped off.
Yep.
Stepped off. And I don't know who Kalpana is. Can you identify yourself?
Yes.
She's been on before.
Yeah, she was about the library, how people park in front of the
okay,
the entranceway of the library. So you know, it's hard to step on a curb.
Yep.
So
welcome. Yep.
Welcome. And I'm hoping Maureen stops back in. She had expressed an interest in becoming a member and had planned to attend this meeting. And there was one other person, Mark.
Yep. And
yeah, did I see that he wished to hold off on his?
Yes. I think he was. I thought he was still going to attend the meeting, but he didn't he wasn't quite sure what he wanted to do.
Yeah, I thought I saw an email from Miles thanking him for letting him know that, but it sounded like
he was exploring his options.
Yeah, he was exploring his options. He's like, I would like the time to sitting on a different meeting before I commit. So I'm not.
And Ellen, who was just with us, she had expressed an interest in possibly becoming a member. So I guess maybe we have two people who are still interested. And as I said, I hope Maureen will drop back in. I'm not sure what happened with her.
All right, so hopefully we will have, and we're continuing to promote, and you know, we've got these designated interviews, you know, with the town, so we'll continue to keep people updated. And if you have any suggestions, reach out to folks you know. And I think with that, the next thing we wanted to do was an update on the playground initiative that we had talked about. And Karen, I think we did a Survey Monkey survey, or we were going to talk about launching that.
I sent the draft of it a while back, but I thought it had to be like approved from the town or something.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again? I'm trying to get the live transcript going, but it's not working for some reason.
Oh, sorry.
There it is. Sorry.
I had sent a draft during that last meeting of the survey, and I think people might have had some edits, or it needed to be approved from the town. So if there are any edits, we can send
Are these
it out.
the playground survey?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I wasn't at the June meeting, so I apologize. So I'm not clear on what we're trying to accomplish. So when I actually went to the Park and Recreation and the Parks Division, I really wasn't sure what we're asking. So they asked me to hold off until I have more information. So if someone can fill me in as to what is it that we're trying to accomplish, just so I can speak to and be, you know, more, I can provide feedback more intelligibly.
I think that there's been a lot of interest from the community and requests for Needham to have one fully accessible playground. And in the past, when this has come up at meetings in prior months, our impression was that this might be something that the Park and Rec division either was planning to take on or would be responsible for. So we were thinking that perhaps it would make sense for us to work with them and maybe do a community survey to get a better understanding of, you know, what that means for folks in Needham to have one fully accessible playground, what their priorities are, what they'd want to see. And then from there, once we have that input, we could then perhaps work with Park and Rec to put together a proposal, try to get funding.
Okay, so is this, so the purpose is to create or convert to one fully accessible playground in Needham?
Yes.
I don't think we worked on necessarily what the desired outcome would be. It was just, we've had a few parents who have repetitively asked for accessibility. And we were thinking that to feel like the town was heard, to post it on some of the parent groups and through the association so people could feel like they provided input. And then we can package it in a more consumer-friendly way that we listened, we heard, this is the ranking, this is what we're going to do, just to make the town feel like they have a voice.
And to help shape the outcome.
And shape the outcome, totally. Yeah. And then you know, maybe prioritize what that is.
And so was the idea to take one of the existing playgrounds or create a brand new one?
It didn't get into the tactic or the approach. It was just like, let's solicit what would make people happy and then work with the town to figure out what can we do based on what people want.
Okay. But I wouldn't want to limit our goal to one accessible program. I think playground, I think, you know, we need, our ultimate goal is to make all of them. I mean, we had that survey last year from someone, I can't remember who put it out, that every playground had areas.
Right, that was the genesis of this, and Babs was involved in that, right? That there was some assessment that was done and there was a lot of compliance issues.
So. Yeah, and they still haven't been taken care of yet either. Just putting it out
I think this may become, it could become a very big project where we would have to do some fundraising. And in my update I had, I can't remember, it must have been before, maybe it was during the summer with one of the select board members, and I keep forgetting his name, Marcus.
Marcus.
I mentioned that we were thinking about an initiative regarding playgrounds. He said, oh, that sounds great. And please let the select board know how we can help you. So I think there is some interest and support from them, which would be very helpful.
Yeah.
And there's probably a decent amount of businesses in town that target the pediatric population that would be interested in putting their name on like something like
yeah,
the orthodontist, the dentist, the pediatric practices. Like I think you could fundraise pretty well, but I think the idea is we need to know what we need to do. Because we talked, Tatiana, about when they did Greenest Field, they did like the boardwalk boards with the families' names on it, and they closed that ask really quickly to sort of do that kind of, not pavers, but you know what I mean, like the fake wood platform. They did that through like the parent talk group pretty easily.
Yeah, so I know that the Park and Recreation Department has a plan that is a year-by-year plan to make all playgrounds accessible. I know there was funding that was requested and granted in 2020. I'm not sure where that stands, but I know that they are, the plan is to address all playgrounds, I believe, just because there's some of them that haven't been in, not just for accessibilities, but in general, they haven't been for years.
Okay,
so
isn't there a timeline for them? Didn't they have a timeline for them too?
Yeah,
I think one of the aspects of all these play areas, and unfortunately the most expensive one, is the surface. And I think all of them could benefit from an improved play surface as an addition to equipment. But you know, that's a lot of money just for to get the right play surface.
At least to publicize, like, that feels, you know, to say that there's a plan in 2020 and not be able to report out on it for 2 years. I get the pandemic, like from a consumer point of view and the community, they're like, what are you guys doing? Because I mean, I know I got asked a million times about that square in downtown, and people are like, why are they like, why? Like, there's so many other pressing problems. Why would they do that? Like, why?
Because everything is on a schedule, right? So when the town brings something to town meeting to be approved and worked on, from there, it takes us for anywhere, depending on the scope of the project, 2 to 3 years to even get it going. So this portion of downtown that is now being worked on was approved a while back. So it's not like we're picking and choosing what we work on. Is what is on the docket that has been approved that we have funding coming for.
Yeah, but I think the average resident doesn't understand that, and also say, why does it take so long? Like,
why does it take?
But America could do it a lot faster. Why are we wasting time and money doing it so slowly?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the select board goals is to better educate residents on the process internally, like what we have to go through to get projects going and projects approved and put forth. But that's a very good observation. I don't believe that the average citizen is aware of how, you know.
And I wish I had a better response. I don't know if anyone else has gotten asked. I've had many people ask me, why are they doing that? And I'm like, I don't totally know, but I said I will ask at the next meeting. Like, I don't know what the end game is for that plaza.
Well, actually, it's all on our website, and let me see if I can pull it up. That we do have, because, you know, actually, it must be a good time. We do have or we've had actually a public information officer who has, you know, tried to work hard on making sure that the public is informed. So if you know what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen and just show you what I'm looking at. Share. So this is a town website. And actually, like I said, she's been working very hard in making sure that all of the information gets posted here so people can access it. So here's the latest news and highlights. But if you scroll down, there is this new section called Popular Services and Hot Topics.
Oh, how cool.
And she customizes this to ensure that that, you know, the things that are like creating a buzz on Facebook or we keep getting phone calls about are put in here. So one of them, of course, is a town common renovation project. And if you click here, it actually goes through what the town common is going to end up looking like. So this is just a schematic of that. There's different, you know, pictures of what is being done, like what is the reason for all the trees being taken down? What is the reason, you know, what is the final vision for this? How do we intend to use the space? There's going to be a permanent gazebo or like a permanent picnic area because the tent was so popular. It's going to be accessible. So, and if you all remember, Dale was part of the downtown street planning committee. So yes. he actually, a lot of the stuff that came out of this was also his contribution as well. And so if, you know, it's a lot of words here, but it's basically the history of how this all began. And if you just want to point this out, planning for the Town Common project can be traced all the way back to 2010 and 2011.
I think that's the common denominator for the town information officer is that like you're expecting people to do a lot to get here and then to make sense of a lot of words. So like, the thing in PR is like, go where they are and use their language. So like post on the Needham Facebook group, why the hell are we redoing the town common ? Here's why in short, like, you know, that's kind of the challenge. And I think we were thinking the same thing about the playgrounds that people have been asking for years and they're not seeing progress. So we feel like we want to give them an answer.
Yeah. So does that answer your question, Tatiana, in terms of, you know, what we're trying to do with the playground survey? For you to have a conversation with Parks and Rec about?
Yeah, but again, I don't think that I can until this commission decides what is it that they want. Because I can't, you know what I mean? Like, I think we need to go forward and present to the Park and Recreation. We want this by, or we are looking to do this by.
So that was the point of the survey, is to just get some input.
Okay.
So that's what we wanted to get their input in the survey process to say, you know, we'd like to better understand what the needs are for the town. And this was one way to collect some information.
Yeah. So what came out of the survey?
We haven't been able to send it because we were told we needed like approval to be able to send it.
Yeah. All we want is their input. And I think, you know, they could be consulted in terms of, you know, looking at the survey. So we just wanted to get them on board with, we want to send the survey out and then let's get it out.
Okay, so if I'm understanding, the ask right now is for the town to help us distribute this survey, correct?
We can distribute it through social media channels ourselves. I think there was some concern that maybe we needed some sort of approval to be able to send it out. It's basically market research. So we want to do market research from the actual residents that have needs for accessibility in playgrounds and hear what they need. So we can at least let Park and Recreation know based on the consultant they did, like what are the actual humans saying?
Right. Okay. But it would be poor form to send the survey out without consulting with them or making them aware that it was going to go out.
So Tatiana, have you seen the proposal that Karen sent out in
the draft survey?
In June?
The survey?
Yes.
Yes, because it was forwarded to me a little while ago, and then I saw and I said, "Hey, we're looking to put this survey out just based on what I read from the email."
Yep.
And when I got asked questions, I really didn't know the answer, so they asked me to hold off until I could find out more. And I said, "There is a September Commission on Disabilities meeting. I will find out more." So I think all we're trying to do right now is get the town to agree to allow us to survey the residents. Correct? Okay.
100%.
And well, can we discuss the survey now, or because I don't know, I just pulled it up on my phone, so I had forgotten the questions. I think there are it's 4 questions now. I think it covers a lot.
Can you put it on the screen?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up right now. 1 second.
And while she's doing that, I just want to welcome.
You're better than me because I can't find it. So good job.
I got.
Oh, thank you.
So the proposal is to distribute to CPAC lists, Needham Public Schools, Parent Talk Facebook, different Facebook groups, the Senior Center. And there's only 4 questions, right? How well do the playgrounds and parks meet your needs in Needham?
Yep.
What accessible features would you like to see added to Needham Playground? And is that going to be a multiple answer thing, or is it free form?
I was going to allow it to be free form.
Okay. And then any specific recommendations for any specific public spaces or playgrounds?
Yep.
And then any additional comments?
Yep. Short and sweet.
Yeah, 4 questions is usually like the breakage. Like you get pretty good response at like 3 to 4 questions.
Anything over that, you lose them?
You lose them, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
And I think that first question is really the purpose of that is to put pressure. Like if we're seeing people under a 5, like the net promoter score is pretty low, then we're putting pressure on Parks and Rec to say like, the consumers are not happy with this. So we've got to move, right?
So I just wanted to ask, I know our angle is accessibility, but are we saying in general, if we get like an overall 5 score, but we don't know if people are actually referencing accessibility or aesthetics or functionality or, number of entertainment value, we don't care. We still just want to survey just in general, how is the playground functioning for you? How is the playground, features function? Okay.
I think because you would have to do like a lot of segmentation of targeting if you were doing accessibility. It just gets complicated, and we're using like a free Google form. So I think that's basic. And we can sort of, to the CPAC group, we can basically say like, we're interested in accessibility, or for general parent talk group, we want to hear about the playgrounds and or if they meet the needs of your varied differences in ability.
Julie's not here, but I believe that she does have a distribution list for parents of children with disabilities for the schools.
She does. And then especially like the magnet schools for elementary of the younger kids that are, in special ed would be really great. And they do monthly newsletters. So it could easily be slid into that or in the superintendent email.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. I will go back and ask for blessing, I guess.
Yeah, we're letting them know if they have any input.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on Saturday we don't have any.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Before we move on, I see Maureen is back, and I want to welcome you, Maureen, and give you a minute to introduce yourself to us.
Okay, SHTA. Hi, everybody. I'm Maureen Callahan.
Hello.
I have a son who's almost 24 now, and he's on the autism spectrum. And I'm coming to you live from the YMCA because he insisted on running tonight. So I've been struggling with trying to get my AirPods to work. And so I'm trying to be a little quiet because they're not working, and I have the sound on. So
we appreciate your effort.
Yeah, so if you hear a little bit, I've been muting because I don't want the background noise to sort of come through here because there's a little bit of music playing. But anyway, I'm happy to sit in and learn a little bit more about the commission.
Great. Terrific. Glad you could join.
Great to have you.
Yeah. Do you have any questions right off the top for us?
Not yet. Not yet. I'm going to keep listening a little bit more, and I'm sure I will.
Okay.
All right. And I also want to acknowledge Kalpana. I know that you're on as well, so welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So the next topic on the agenda, it was advocacy calls. I don't believe that we had any. So that takes us right to Tatiana, your report.
Hi, everyone. So it's been sort of a quiet summer. I think there hasn't been a lot going on. I think one of the most important things I have is the budget. Budget season for the town of Needham has started up again. For those of you who are aware or not, the Needham Commission of Disabilities has a small budget. Aside from the town liaison's stipend, it's about $550 that we usually use for supplies. Unfortunately, in the past, most of it has gone to placards and just gratitude plaques for retiring members, but we do get $550 that in the past is being used to purchase supplies as needed, to purchase advertisement, to purchase more handicap parking spots. So if there is anything that I get asked every year, if the commission is looking to do anything further, if they're seeking funding for anything further to put it forth. We are going to be required to submit a budget submission this year. So I will be working with the chairs on that. For a number of years, small budgets such as ours, Historical Commission, Memorial Park, who are all under $1,000, were not really required to submit anything as long as there weren't any changes, but they are looking for a submission this year. However, a meeting with the Finance Committee is not required. That is up to us. So of course there is money to ask for, but of course you have to justify what you need it for. So as long as we have an idea of that's the playground thing might not be something that can be accomplished to this budget. It'll probably be a capital item because it's going to be, you know, a large investment of money. What our budget will cover will be expenses that are directly from the operations of the Needham Commission on Disabilities. So, for example, if we were looking to start a new program or provide a new service that require, you know, money for advertisement, a software platform, anything like that, we could do it like that. But service to the community like that, I think that's probably more likely going to be a capital project that will be either handled by Public Works or by Park and Recreation.
Okay.
So the budget is due sometime in October. So at the end of October, we'll probably have, by our October meeting, we'll probably have a draft or something of what we're looking to put forward. And again, if anyone has suggestions as to how the budget, you know, what to add to the budget, like I said, it's $550 right now. For the most part, we don't ever use it, but when we do use it, it's been for plaques and supplies and handicap parking signs. We did sell one handicap parking sign, as some of you know. The Commission on Disabilities sells handicap parking spots, parking placards to the community at cost as an added service to the community. So we sell them for $25. I think it's really expensive. And so we sold one to the James this summer. The James, the restaurant.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So they received a zoning approval to use the outside of the parking lot for outdoor seating this summer. But part of that was to make a parking, you know, to move a handicap parking spot. And so they had to purchase a placard from us this summer. So that's that. Let me see, what else do I have for you?
What about an update on the self-eval and transition plan?
Yes. So the ADA planning and transition plan, they have been diligently working on surveying not only our policies, but also the buildings. And I know that they presented a draft on both the policies and the initial survey, but it hasn't been approved, so I'm not at liberty to comment. But I'm hoping that by next meeting, I can bring you a better update on that. So we did get a draft to review. I think we still need to sit down internally and discuss what's in the draft and see what's going to be forth as a final finding. To discuss that with the consultant. So I don't have a good update for you, but it is being worked on.
Great.
Trying to think of anything that has gone on with the town that might be of relevance to the commission. I think that's all I can think of for now.
Okay. Thank you for that. So I think that brings us to the approval of the June minutes. Hopefully everybody got them initially when Alexa sent them out, and then I forwarded them with this meeting notice. Any questions or dialogue on the minutes before we take a vote to approve them? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
I make a motion to approve the minute.
All right. Anybody a second?
I second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Minutes are approved. Thank you. And so,
I'm sorry, I did have one more.
Okay, perfect. Go for it.
I apologize.
Yeah.
I don't know if I got a chance to tell you because this was only approved on May 31st, but the commission did approve a grant request by the school department. Do you guys remember that? It was to get more supplies for the initiative that Julie and and Patricia Mollenka put forward to create sort of the same, what is the word? Motto.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It was the classroom that was dedicated for students with disabilities. Manipulative. Is that the word? It was like, it's something about
so.
Yeah. So all the kids that they had done this for at the middle school were moving on to the high school. So they were trying to recreate the same program at the high school so that they wouldn't lose motor sensory, I think it was. Room. And so they wanted more funding to be able to bring that to them. And so the commission approved that last year. And it was approved by the Board of Selectmen in May of this year. So I just wanted to quickly mention that.
Terrific. Thank you.
Right.
So next up are the updates. And
before we move on, Tatiana, do you have a number for the funding that is currently in our budget for grants?
Let me just look, because hold on. The last time I requested it, I need to do some math because the last time I requested it was about $7,600. And I'm trying to remember what was the amount that was awarded to the school department so that I could give
2,000 or 3,000 maybe.
I think it was 2. Yeah, so hold on one second.
Maureen, just to explain, I don't know if you know this or not, that the money that is accrued from accessible parking fines goes into a kitty that is the Commission on Disabilities is used to provide grants that help people, not individuals, but programs and access as a whole to the people in Needham. And we have $7,600 approximately, and maybe a little bit less, maybe closer to 5,000.
So it's
and we have done things like playground equipment, speakers at the schools. We've done large print books and talking books for the library, and this equipment for the programs at Pollard and the high school for people with special needs. And our problem has been not getting enough grant proposals, because we have this money and we'd love to spend it, and we do try to advertise, but we have a lot of money that could be used, and we just need to let people know about that.
So give or take is about $5,300 in the fund, but of course, the fund is funded by handicap parking violations. And so there hasn't been a lot of that during COVID. I think there might be an uptick now that people are up and about again, but I will get the latest numbers for their next meeting.
Great.
Okay.
I see, Karen, I see your question in the chat about, oh, was that from earlier? And then Tatiana addressed that it would be on the capital budget.
That will be a capital budget, yeah.
All right, good, thank you. All right, anything else before we move on to the other updates? Yes, Maureen.
That's one question. Thank you, Jeannie, for that explanation. I just wonder how do you kind of advertise or even let the organizations or the town know that those funds are available to apply for? And is it a simple application process, or is it a little bit lengthy?
So the application and the application is really a 2-page thing. It's very simple. It is on our website. Well, in the past it was more frequent, but in the past we will send out notices to the internal departments in the town to see if anybody had any need for that. It is mostly internal departments that apply for the grants, although we've had some external applicants in past years. As we also have the schools, promoted within their own departments. But as far as outside advertisement, I don't believe we've done much of that in recent years. Have we, Jeannie?
No, but was that something, Karen, that you put on the Needham page, or was that something else?
I did. I don't know if we got any response. Maybe there's maybe there's a nonprofit list we could go after. I don't know. I think that didn't have much response when I posted it, but maybe we're not like reaching the right people. Maybe we're not reaching the people that would like seek grants. Like we should go after like Charles River, like whatever we think some of the groups are in town. Maybe we have to reach out directly, tell them there's grant money.
Yeah. Agreed. I think in general, when I promote that within the town, a lot of our town departments are very resourceful in getting other sources for funding. So like I said, the schools are one that have consistently requested and apply and being granted grant money.
Yeah, I want to say also the money cannot be used for personal use. So can't be used, so it has to be used for public use. So
I used to work for the Needham Education, so I was their administrative director, and we did fund some programs. We would get some grant applications for sensory materials and some books, audio books and things like that. So yeah, so they seem to know about NEF, and now it seems like they know about you, but I was just curious about that.
Great. Anything else before we move on? Okay. So we have a couple folks that aren't here. So they're, since Julie isn't here, I don't think we have a school department update other than the things we've already talked about. Debbie's not here, so I don't think there's an accessible parking update. Felix isn't here, but I can provide the Needham diversity update. There are a number of things going on. There is a book club. The book is Thank You, Mr. Nixon, at 7 p.m. on October 3rd. On Sunday, October 2nd, from 11 to 3 on Greens Field, there's the Harvest Fair, I think it is called, and there's going to be a booth, Voices in Unity. And I'm just wondering, as I'm reading this, whether that's anything, in the past we partnered with NDI and had NCOD pamphlets there. So I don't know, Tatiana, if we still have those and if that's something that we could have on display. Actually, Kelly, I know, Kelly, you're often there. Will you be there? Maybe it would be more appropriate for us to have it at your booth.
Yeah, I will be there. I did ask for 2 tables, and I do believe I have pamphlets left over from last year.
Perfect. Okay. All right. And then the last piece is that there's another Diversity Summit on November 6th from 1 to 5 at Pollard Middle School, and it will have a remote option. And the theme is Building Our Future Together, Act for Justice. So those are the NDI updates. And Jeannie forwarded some information from the LEPC, and we talked a little bit about that earlier. Anything additional on that topic from anybody? Okay, so I think that brings us then to any new business other than what we've already talked about. And with that, it's planning then for our next meeting. So Tatiana, we talked about you might have a report. We can hopefully talk next steps in terms of the survey for the playground. Any other, and I will ask early on at the beginning of October for agenda items and get the agenda out in a very timely way. Okay. Any other topics for the future meeting before we adjourn?
No.
Okay.
Ask a brief question. You mentioned the diversity summit coming up, and I've been reading about that too. Do you participate in any way? Are you included as far as like speaking or panels or presentations or anything like that?
Yeah, so in the past, some members of the Needham Commission on Disability, Manny Iyer in the past has talked. And I think it's important that we stay connected, with them. And so that's why we have a liaison. Felix is our liaison. I was before Felix, before I became the co-chair. So I think it's important that we partner with them because I think we're connected and aligned in many respects.
Yeah. Okay.
Maureen, can you take a few minutes and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Oh, okay. Sure, I can. Yeah, I've been a Needham resident for almost 20 years. As I said, I have a son who's on the autism spectrum who is turning 24. I have one other child who is typical, who's in college right now. And over the years, I've just been involved in different ways, you know, in all different ways with the schools when my kids were in school, but also with CPAC and some other organizations that, you know, work with people with disabilities. So I currently, my job right now is I work for our state representative, Denise Garlick, and I'm her district legislative liaison. So I'm in the community, I'm at the State House, so I do a couple of different things, but it's kind of, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to know about me or anything, questions you might have.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Is that enough? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I don't know if you caught all of our roles. I mean, we can quickly do an introduction as well. So I'm one of the co-chairs along with Jeannie. And you might have figured out Tatiana's role as the town liaison. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Maureen, welcome to the group. My name is Babs Moss. Welcome. I'm a member.
That's
Alexa Moore, also a member.
And secretary.
And May Openetti, Needham Police Liaison.
Hello. I know we've met before in different, yeah, around town and things like that. Nice to see you.
Yep. And Karen?
Hi, I'm Karen.
Yep. And she's got a lot of marketing expertise, as you can tell, and she's been an excellent addition to the committee. So we are very fortunate to have her as well. Okay. So anything else that's come up around new business or future meeting topics? If not, well, take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Motion making Babs. Thank you. A second. All right, Alexa, thank you.
Oh, sorry. Jeez.
Yes.
If you didn't
go for it.
Right?
You're not adjourned yet.
Okay. Can we actually get a motion that if the town authorizes a survey, the co-chairs can empower the commission to send it, just so we don't have to wait another month?
Perfect.
Great.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
So we need a motion for the commission to empower the co-chairs to allow the commission members to send the survey if approved by town. I move to motion.
We have to designate who's going to receive it.
Well, I mean, who's going to receive the survey?
Yeah.
Well, we had a bunch of proposals, and she said she's happy to send it out.
I know. I'm asking if this motion has to include all the people who are going to get it.
Oh,
I don't think so.
No, just we're giving
that we're
permission
approved to send it out to appropriate parties.
Yeah,
okay.
To appropriate parties. I like that, Carol. We're feeling our way through this. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, someone has to move the motion.
Babs, you were on a roll.
That was a lot of words. I don't know if I can repeat that.
We need a motion for the committee to empower the chairs.
Stop. Yeah. We need you can tell it's bedtime for me. Yeah. We need a motion to empower the chair to
authorize the survey being sent if the town approves it.
To authorize a survey for the town to approve it. Did I say it right?
Yeah, to send the survey, yeah.
To send the survey.
Yeah.
Thank you, Babs. A second? Alexa, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion approved.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else?
We can get that going before it's over.
Yeah. That was good.
That motion to empower is really useful.
Okay. All right. So I think we're good then. We had the motion approved to adjourn. So with that, thank you, everybody. It's good to see you after the summer break. I am glad we're back in action and look forward to seeing everybody in October.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Bye-bye.
very happy
All
to
right,
see
take care, everybody.
everybody. Beb and
Bye.
everybody. Thank you.
Bye,
All right.
Campana.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, stop recording. I usually want to stop. Bye, Carol.